AC is a diagonal, the measure of angle ABC is 40. The measure of ACD is 57. What is the measure of CAD? Okay, so we're trying to find that one. So there's properties of parallelograms that you have to remember. Do you remember any to start with?
Like alternate interior, is that like what?
That's two lines cut by a transversal.
Oh. Then no. Probably.
Okay, so let me pull something up here that will be useful. There are, let me see which one of these. I have two reference sheets for quadrilaterals and let's see, let me pull the other one, see if this one is more preferred to look at. Okay, so this one, this will be good. You obviously don't have this in the test, but this is worth looking at. So it says, in a parallelogram, the parallel sides are parallel by definition. So that's kind of an obvious one. That means these are parallel, and these are parallel. Opposite sides are congruent. So that means that, like in your picture, this side is congruent to this side. This top side is congruent to this side, but that's not useful because you're looking at angles, okay? But opposite angles are congruent. Well, what does that mean? That means that this angle is congruent to this angle. So 40 degrees, 40 degrees. Now what can you do to find measure of angle A?
180 minus.
Yep, 40. It's a triangle, and
okay,
you'll get that value pretty quick.
40. 40 minus 57. 83. Okay.
All right, so the answer is 83. So let's I don't know, let's do a bit more on this. Okay, so let's say this is 50 degrees. This is 36 degrees. I want you to find X again, so do the same thing. Actually, I might not have made this big enough. Let me change this to 56 up here.
Okay. $74.
Okay, so this is 50. This is 74. Okay. Now, the stuff you were just talking about. So one of the things that is it's tough for students to see is the transversal. Like, let's say I cut the transversal like this in two parallel lines. You said it before. This is if I call this X, and this is also X, those are alternate interior angles.
Mm-hmm.
So looking at this picture over here, 56 is equal to
56.
Yeah.
And then you would do 180 minus 50 minus 56. Find the other one.
Mm-hmm. And you'll find that it's 74.
Oh,
that means
those also are alternate interior.
Yeah. So you have to, because you can really and it's the other one. It's harder to see, but it goes. Let me draw it here. These lines are parallel, and this is a transversal. That's this one right here. So 74 is equal to 74.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So how do we get you to like commit that to memory? I mean, this you know, I don't have any other problems like this, but the properties of parallelograms are quadrilaterals is here, and parallelograms is the first one. They could ask you a question about sides. You know, the diagonals bisect each other, meaning that like this length is congruent to this length, and then this length is congruent to this length.
Okay.
The other one that's sometimes useful is that any pair of consecutive angles are supplementary. So let's look at that one now. So I'll give you a parallelogram. And here's an easy version. So this is 60 degrees. So what is this angle up here? And the answer is A plus 60 has to equal 180. So that means A is 120.
Oh, okay.
And B 120 plus B has to equal 180. Well, that means that B is
60.
60. Oh, and opposite angles are congruent. Okay, opposite angles are congruent.
Okay.
Okay, now let's say I give you it in a slightly different version. And I cut it. So I'll cut it like this. And I tell you that this is 62 degrees. I tell you that this is 53 degrees. And I want you to find X. Okay, so how can you use what we did in the previous problem, which is you said this angle plus this one up here has to equal 180. How can you use that information down here in the one below?
Well, 53 would be like, oh, do you do 180 minus 53 there?
Well, the 62 plus this whole angle, and that whole angle is X plus 53, has to equal 180 because they're still consecutive.
Okay.
Like if this line wasn't drawn here, this angle could be written as X plus 53.
Right, so then you subtract 62.
Yes. And you subtract 53.
Okay.
Now you could also just say, oh, well, across here is 62, 180 minus this number, whatever it is equal to that. Lots of ways to do it.
Okay. All right. That makes sense.
Okay, so I feel like we've hit on everything we can hit on in that particular problem.
Yeah.
So let me jump back to your pictures and we'll go through a few more of these. I'm a little surprised that you said you didn't care for these because these are from what I recall studying is like that they're more direct in terms of like they're just math questions.
I think what happened, well, I actually did, I like scored myself at the end, and I did fine on the first about like 30, and then I ran out of time. So at the end, I was just kind of rushing, I think,
Yeah.
and I barely had any time to do them because I was spending more than a minute on, and I had never taken an ACT, so maybe if I practiced it more, I don't know.
Okay, because like I look at this and it says, you know, what is the midpoint? And
I just forgot the formula. So.
right. So this is like a straight, like, here, I'll give you a million of these. The midpoint is the average, and that's the word I want you to associate with it. It's the average. So it's the average of the x's, comma, the average of the y's. Okay, so like the x's here are 1 and 3. So what is the average between 1 and 3?
2.
2.
Oh, so you don't even have to. Wow.
Well, you can find the average of those. 8 plus or 8 minus 4 plus 8
So
over 2.
is the formula like x1 plus x2 over 2?
It is, but you gotta just, I like the words, to remember the words more than anything. Like you're gonna take calculus next year, you said, and that there's a lot of things in there that are very recipe based. And the words will mean more than the actual formulas.
Okay.
Yeah, let me see. The answer space isn't very good here because you can just do part of it and get the answer. Let's do another one here that I've seen. So let's say that because this is kind of a better question. Let's say the first point is a comma 4 and the second point is 3a comma negative 6. What is the midpoint between those?
Midpoint. Okay, so you do 3A. Um, -2. Is it 2A comma -1? Is that right?
So we're going to just add a plus 3a divided by 2, comma, 4 plus -6 divided by 2. So the first one is 4a over 2, which is 2a.
Mhm.
Second one is -2 over 2, which is -1.
Okay.
Okay. Now, just to be clear on what a midpoint is, so here's a point, here's another point. The midpoint is the place that's halfway between them, obviously. Okay. So usually you get endpoint to find the midpoint. But I could also do this. So this is option one. I could also give you the endpoint and the midpoint to find the other endpoint.
Mhm.
So let's see how we might do that. So let's say I give you the point 3 comma -1, and I tell you that's the endpoint. And then I give you 5 comma -7, and that's the midpoint. So you're looking for the other endpoint. You're looking for the number that goes here, that when you add it to the previous number, you get, and divide it by 2, you get 5. But I feel like that's kind of confusing. I look at this as jumps. What's the jump to get from 3
2.
to plus 2?
That's
So if we add 2 here,
7.
7. Is 7 plus 3 divided by 2, 5?
Yeah.
Yeah.
10 divided by 4.
So now what's the jump from -1 to -7? This is where it's maybe a little bit more difficult.
-6.
-6. So if you do that again, that's
Minus, yeah, 13.
is -13 -1 divided by 2.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. Okay. So let me give you one here. It's the endpoint is -3 comma -6, and the midpoint is 4 comma -12. Go ahead and find that other endpoint, please.
11 minus 18.
Okay, so all I'm going to do here is add these up. 11 and -3 is 8, divided by 2 is 4. -6 and -18 is -24, divided by 2 is -12. So that works great.
Cool. Okay.
All right. We can make these more difficult. Let me look at the question one more time and see if there's anything else that I missed from it. Okay, so I haven't talked at all about any of this stuff, but not useful. And then you circled that box for midpoint. That's great. That's excellent, because that's really all it's looking for. There is the midpoint. So notice all the information here is in this picture.
Yeah.
So you almost don't even want, you almost just want to look there. What is the measure of C80? Oh, C80, that's that. And then you go. Now it's nice to know it's a parallelogram, but you're trying to save some time here.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. You had another one. 14. Okay. 14 is one of these awful not questions, it looks like. All right, the average of 5 distinct scores has the same value as the median of the 5 distinct scores. Okay. The sum of the 5 scores is 420. What is the sum of the 4 scores that are not the median?
It's just like confusing, like the wording was.
It is. So the average of 5 distinct scores has the same value as the median of the 5 scores. So the that means that the middle value is the average. Whatever the middle value is, it's exactly the average. It says the sum of the 5 scores is 420. Okay, so I don't like this, but since I'm not even sure where to start, I'm going to write out what I think the 5 scores are.
Okay.
And I'm just going to divide this by 5. Now, I'm not sure how quickly you can do that, but I see this as 400 divided by 5 is 80, 20 divided by 5 is 4, so 84.
Well, we have a calculator too, so.
Oh, that's right. That's right. So maybe it doesn't matter. So this is my data set for now. Like I might change this. So the if this is the middle value, this is for sure the middle value. Okay. Whatever the ones below it are, or whatever the ones above it are, they have to like cancel out each other. Like let's say in another data set, this is 83, 83. Since I went down by 1 on both of those, I have to go up by 1 on both of those here.
Mm-hmm.
So the sum of the 4 scores that we have here, we have to figure out like what it could be. So this is a, and because it's a not, that means there are 4 true and 1 false.
It's tricky. I just guessed. I was like, I
Okay.
have no idea how to do this.
Okay. But I mean, are you seeing how you could maybe work through this?
Yeah. But I don't. So you have to like get rid of one essentially because it's like if the sum of the 4 scores.
Yeah. Well, let's look at this first case. 1, 2, the first one here. So 4 times 84 is 320 plus 16. It's 336. Okay. So that's why that one's there. Okay. I wonder if that is the answer. Okay.
I can. Oh wait, I can tell you the right answer. It's
Yeah. Let's start there.
what is this? 14. It was H. Yeah, so it's that one.
The answer is H.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the what is the sum of the 4 scores that are not the median? Okay. So the point of this question is like, if you change the numbers down here, I want you to add up 83, 83, 85, and 85, and you're still going to get 336.
Okay. So you do 420. Okay, so it's not actually that terrible. I'm going to send you one more picture from earlier on the page that I forgot.
You want me to move to the next question or go back to something else?
Yeah, you can go to the 16. I sent you
Okay.
another one too, but we can do that one after.
If it's possible you just start emailing those, that would be preferred.
Yeah,
Me.
I would have emailed them. I just, yeah.
Okay, so 17, 16. Which of the following expressions is equivalent to? Oh, I've seen this before. Did you grab just a book from Amazon or somewhere, ACT book?
It was like just like a free one that they give you if you sign up for
Okay.
the test. It was from last year.
Yeah, okay. This is so familiar. This is just a simple property of exponents, meaning if you know the property, you know this. So it's like x to the 1/2 is the square root of x. And you might think, well, where do the numbers go? Well, the 2 is really here, but it's not shown. There's a 1 there. So the top number goes inside, the bottom number goes outside.
Okay.
Okay, so like let's say it was x to the 5/4, it would be the 4th root of x to the 5th.
Gotcha. So it is K.
It is K.
Okay. That's what I put because I figured that was, but
Right.
I didn't really know why.
Now, let's do one that's a little bit like what is x to the 4/3? Because there's a couple of answers here. It is the cube root of x to the 4th, but this can be simplified. It's the cube root of x cubed times x, which is the cube root of x cubed times the cube root of x. This right here becomes 1. I'm sorry, it becomes x. And this is the cube root of x. So one possible way the answer could be presented is like this. It could also be presented as x times x to the 1/3 power.
Okay.
So there's a variety of ways to do this. Now we can also do this with numbers. That might be easier to see. What is 2 to the
Sorry, is anything like x cube square, what's it called, cube root, would that any number, if it was like 2 and 2, would it always equal 1, basically, like if they have the same exponent in their and the root is the same?
I guess it's like if you're asking like is the cube root of 2 times the cube root of 2?
No, like, okay, like if it was the square root, like with a 4, what would that be called, like no, if like the 4 was where like the cube root was, you know what I mean?
Oh, okay.
And then it was like to the 4th, like.
Okay, so this is x to the 1/4. Yeah, so this is there's square root, cube root, and then 4th root, 5th root.
If it was like 4th root and then it was a number, the exponent was also like a 4, is what I'm saying. Like, would it always equal 1? Like, would those always cancel out to equal 1?
Oh, if there's a 4 here?
Yeah, exactly.
This becomes the absolute value of x.
Oh.
So whenever these are equal and even, so like if it's the square root of x squared, it's the absolute value of x. If it's the 4th root of x to the 4th, it's the absolute value of x. But if it's the cube root of x cubed, it just equals x.
Okay.
If it's the 5th root of x to the 5th, it equals x. This is the kind of thing you actually would see on a standardized test like this, because it's designed to be very confusing
Right.
for whatever reason. More. Let me get this picture saved.
There was just a lot of like word problems on this test, I noticed.
Yeah, a lot of story problems, and you got to be ready to, because you don't know what they are. You don't know if they're just adding, subtracting, combining, lots of things.
You have to be fast too.
Okay, so in Cherokee County, the fine for speeding is $17 for each mile per hour the driver is traveling over the posted speed limit. In Cherokee County, Kirk was fined $221 for speeding on a road with a posted speed limit of 30 miles per hour. Kirk was fined for traveling at what speed in miles per hour? So for me, there's two paths to do this question. There's what I call the BD approach, which is using the solutions, and then there's the just the direct solve, and then you match your answer to the one there. Which way would you like to approach this problem?
I guess let's just do the direct.
Okay. So we have to build a formula for this. So the ticket price, the price is $17 times every mile over 30 miles per hour.
Okay.
And we know the price is $221.
All right. So it's 2.
Now can I point out a few other things here before you even start solving this? The question is traveling at what speed? It's asking for the speed that he was traveling at. So if he was going over 30, that's not possible, and that's not possible.
Right. Okay.
So you actually could get this down to just trying J and knowing whether it was H or K, but 221 divided by 17, that's gotta be the first thing you do.
Or you could also just, I guess, plug in the values, right?
Well, that's the BD approach, but you don't want to plug them all in because it's slow. You only try certain values.
Okay, so it's 43.
Yeah.
So for the B minus D, you would just...
Well, it's the BD approach, but actually since you're down to 3 answers, you would just try J. So you would say, okay, assume the speed equals 47. 47 minus 30 is equal to 17. 17 times 17 is 289. How does that compare to this number? Is it too high or too low?
It's too high.
It's too high. So therefore he must have been traveling at a lower speed.
Oh, okay.
If the fine was whatever 350, you would know that this was not big enough.
Yeah. Okay.
We can do one like this. I think if you want another version of this. Okay. So let me just snip the question in, but let me just change it. So these are not going to be helpful. And let's make the fine $21. And let's just say that we know that we don't know this at the moment. So let's just say the fine for speeding is $21. Let's make this 25. And let me grab my calculator. I have to do some number crunching here too. Okay, so let's say he paid a fine of $945. Okay, what was the speed?
Okay, so you would do... $25, 21. Mm. Mm. 75.
The 75 miles per hour is their speed.
Great.
Okay, so remember the speed limit is 25 miles per hour. So 75 minus 25 is 50, and 50 times 21 is $1,050. So I think maybe use 30 here for
Well,
the post.
I set up the equations, so I did like p equals 21x m minus oh,
Because I changed the speed limit here.
right, okay. Wait, in the last one, why was it p equals 17x m minus 30 though?
The price of the mile per hour, and then 30 was the speed limits, because you're trying to figure out how many miles are over the speed limit.
Right, so why wouldn't it be set up the same way, just with different numbers?
It is. It's 21 is the new speeding price, and then but this time it's over 25 miles per hour.
But last time there was like x was like attached to the 21, and then it was m minus whatever.
Oh no, this is a multiplier. Sorry.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Sorry, that was unclear.
Okay, so then it would be 21 m 25, and then do 945 divided by 21. Is it 70? Does that sound right?
The speed, yeah, because it ends up being x is 45, and then it's 25 plus 45, which is 70.
All right. How do you factor just a x cubed minus 64?
So this is a formula: a cubed minus b cubed, and it's a minus b, a squared plus ab plus b squared.
So I feel like you have to know a lot of formulas and stuff for this test, it seems like.
Yeah, I mean, the one advantage though is if you know the formula, then you can do the problem pretty quickly. But yeah, I mean, you're just completely lost, or it takes too long to do this. So this would be x minus 4, x squared plus 4x plus 16. There's also a related formula for sum of cubes that looks very similar, and you have to know both because you don't know which one you will get. You do see this again in calculus. Like it's the first calculus class you'll take is you get a lot of review of your algebra within the calculus, because the problems require you to remember stuff like this.
Mhm.
And then calculus 2 has a ton of review of trig, because it involves a lot of trig stuff that's related in calculus. So it's not like a throwaway anymore. You got to keep using this stuff if you want to keep taking math.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I'll see if I can find some sort of a review of algebra. There's also formulas for like area and volume. Those are maybe worth remembering.
But what is is a period of the function, isn't that like pi over b, or is it 2 pi over b?
It depends on whether it's sine or cosine, so or
Okay.
tangent or cotangent.
But
So
like, what is the period of the function f of x equals cosine, or CSC, that's cosine, right? Or no, cosecant 4x.
so sine, cosine, secant, cosecant are all related. They're 2 pi over b, but tangent and cotangent is pi over b. And b is the number in front of x. So in your problem, it's 2 pi over 4, which is pi over 2.
Okay. That makes sense. Okay. So maybe it's not as bad as I thought. I just didn't.
I think it's closer to what you see in the classroom.
Yeah.
But it's very much fast, 60 seconds per question or less.
Yeah.
And I'm just searching for something. I found there's 1,300 math formulas in high school math, according to this person. So that's kind of overwhelming. Did you see any problems with interest in there? Simple interest, compound interest?
Let me look. Get this one right. 823. There was like some percentage ones. Not really interest though. Like 8% of 60 is 1/5 of what number? Like those type of questions.
So we could do a few more I don't know, exponent properties stuff if you want, if you're
Yeah.
or we could do some more factoring because those are on here as well.
Let's do factoring. Yeah, that sounds good.
All right. So what has to be clear is what is the difference between x minus 1 squared, x squared minus 1, x squared plus 1.
Do you think that there would be like complete the square?
No, I mean, because they can't verify that you're doing it. But what they can do is ask you questions about completing the square. They could say what number would complete the square, and that's a formula.
Okay.
So let's do that real quick. So let's say it's x squared plus bx minus 44. They would say what number completes the square. So it's like this. Whatever, because we're going to write an x plus something here squared. And the number that goes here is this number divided by 2. So it ends up being b over 2.
Mm-hmm.
To get the 44, you have to take this b over 2 and you have to square it. So how do you solve for this value? We take a square root of both sides. So b over 2 equals plus or minus the square root of 44. And that reduces. So the square root of 44, 2 and 22, 2 and 11. So this is plus or minus 2 square root 11. And then you have to solve for b, so you have to multiply by 2. So b equals plus or minus 4 square root 11. Now you might see both answers, one or the other answers here to do that. So let me have you do one here. Let's say it's x squared plus cx equals plus 120.
Okay, so it's x plus 2 equals. $260. How do you do square root of 120? Because when I did it, I did like the factor tree, you know, so I did like 2 and 60. Yeah, 2 and 30.
So this one only has one pair.
So then what do you do? Because you're left with like 3.
You multiply them. So it's
Oh, you multiply all 3.
plus
Okay.
or minus 4 square root 2 times 3 times 5, or you go back to that original number, 30.
Oh, so you can do like plus or minus 2 root 30. Okay.
Yeah, sorry, I'm jumping steps here. Yeah, it's it's 2 root 30, and then you double it to get 4.
4. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Now we'll do a little bit more complexity here. So let's say there's a 2x squared plus bx plus 80. So the formula changes for this, and that's something to keep in mind, because if you were to do this correctly, it'd be 2x squared plus b over 2x plus 40.
Right. Okay.
And then you have to take this b over 2 and you have to divide it by 2 again, because that's what goes here.
Oh, so you're getting rid. Oh, wait. You don't get rid of the 2 by doing that in front?
No. I mean, when you distribute this 2 in, you get back to the previous line. So here,
why do you have to divide the b over 2 by 2 again?
because it doesn't matter this divided by 2 here. What goes in this space is always whatever's in front of x divided by 2.
Oh, yeah.
So it doesn't matter this divided by 2 again. So it ends up being b over 4 squared equals 40.
Okay. And then you do square root of that, so b over 4 equals square root 40. So it's 8 root 10.
Yeah. There's a lot of algebra formulas out on the internet, which is what I was searching for. You might grab one. I'll just send you a quick chat here for the one that I found, and you can click on that link if you want. It's a PDF. There's a ton of these out there that are they're not for this test, but they do summarize some things that you want to remember.
Right.
For them. So that takes us to the end of the lesson, and I'll send the notes and the screen recording out shortly.
Do you want me to send you a picture of the booking that I got for today?
If you want, it would definitely help me. And then if you do another lesson, just please email as much as you can. It's just faster to do it that way.
No problem.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. Have a great day. Bye now.